Well, okay, we're back. So it's another day on Mossy Bus. My goals today are mainly to try and fit some outlets. It's a little too cold for painting still. We had a cold front come through. It's like 34, 35 degrees in here, so that's not great. But I will just slap some white paint on this part here. It's fully dry. And like I said, it's too cold to paint, but I just want to see what my final coating will look like in this area. Now, here's the plan for these guys so everybody understands. The windows are going back in with new hardware. And then the plan is, as the money allows, we will get this whole bus dustless sandblasted. It's going to be expensive, but I think it's going to be worth it. We can do that with the glass in place. We will tape it off just to be safe, but you don't have to, according to the dustless guys. The reason I'm doing sandblasting instead of sanding this with a DA or sandpaper is because of these rivets. So I want to give you a close-up shot. So the issue is pretty simple. These are essentially aircraft-style rivets. A lot of stuff was made with these. There's one, a bunch missing that I have to replace. But two, because they're curved and bulbous, you get this sort of action where the paint is all deteriorated around the rivet. And I just can't get the sander close enough up to that. There will always be paint in this crack, and it'll take forever. So what's gonna happen is you'll get this same problem. The new paint will peel off. I mean, this bus has obviously been repainted, and anywhere the seams weren't clean, that's where the paint's gonna peel. Not only does the aluminum flex and such around the rivets. So let me see if I can find another one to illustrate where you can actually see, yeah, some cracking and some damage around the paint. So here's a perfect example. This has been repainted before, but it wasn't prepped properly, and you have endless issues around the rivets. You can see this one, you get the cracks going right there, and so on. These rivets are everywhere, guys, and sanding around them just isn't gonna be a winning solution. We're gonna spend tons and tons of time and then paint this bus, and within a few years, it'll have problems around the rivets. So we have to. Here's a great example. Look at that. So the paint just would never seal up again. And to get that properly clean, the only thing that's gonna work is blasting. So, that being said, I don't have the money right now to blast this, and I don't want to blast it with it open, because even though the material is fairly, it's called dustless blasting for a reason. They mix the media with water. It still creates a mist and gets everywhere, and I'm just not interested in having that going inside the bus. Back to my original point, we need to install the glass, which means this surface needs to be cleaned up and usable for that gasket to go on. So right here and right here were rusty, those need to be cleaned up. The gasket comes out to about here. So it's not the end of the world for this color to be wrong or whatever. It'll be hidden by the gasket, and then when the blasting comes in, whatever overspray of the wrong color white or primer that you see, that'll be removed, and then the new paint will go on over that, painted right up to the gasket. Okay, so let's get this painted up, see what sort of sheen we get. I'm just using white Rust-Oleum, nothing special. It's not the same color as the exterior of the bus, but it's white. So if for whatever reason some of it peeks out behind the rubber after we blast and paint the exterior, it'll still be close enough of a blend. On the inside, Bree has told me that she does want just pure white. So that Rust-Oleum will be a great color for in here, areas that we can see inside the bus when we're done. All of this, for example, this blue, we're just gonna do plain shiny white. Same thing on this tin here, not the cream of the exterior like I was wanting, the metallic. She wants it just regular white. I totally understand where she's coming from, so we'll do that. So that'll be white Rust-Oleum, and then we'll have the white. We're thinking beadboard now, because it's a really simple curve right here, so beadboard panels are gonna be really easy and really affordable. The budget is catching up to us really quick on this bus. The market that we're living in right now, the electrical wire, the plywood, things are 4 or 5 times the price that I had hoped they would be when we budgeted originally. So we're having to be a little cautious when it comes to spending money. So, like I said, paint is a goal for today. and then maybe some outlets is a goal for today. I'm not so sure about the tin ones, but I'm thinking I can definitely cut some holes in these plywoods. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We'll start with the paint. Like I said, guys, it's cold. I don't love how cold this paint is in my hand. I don't love how cold the metal is, but this is more of just a test. So if this comes out okay, we know in warmer days we're gonna get good results using the Rust-Oleum. I've used this paint before. It's a good quality paint. It just requires a very light trigger because it'll build up really quickly and drip. It also takes a very long time to dry. We're just doing a very fine mist because, like I said, it builds up so fast and wants to be a problem. So that's enough for the first coat. So on the exterior, again, we're going to do a very fine coat. Not a lot. Just light coverage for now. And we'll come back again in about 3 to 5 minutes and get our second coat on. We're probably going to do 3 coats. Now again, remember guys, we don't care about this area. You see all this cracking and this horridness? That's unprepped surface. I'm not worried about that. The prepped surface is up here. Now we know there's pitting because there was rust, but it wasn't worth repairing with Bondo or anything. It's going to be mostly hidden under gaskets. So all we want to do is seal this surface correctly so we can put new gaskets and glue in to reinstall the windows. We don't really care what it looks like. Pretty happy with that. On to my outlet plan and lights. I pulled back this wall, the interior of the toilet room. What you're seeing here is the exterior of the kitchen wall. And we need to fasten this wall to the studs, and then we'll be cutting an outlet going that way and a light switch going that way. Once that's done, we'll be installing this wall, and we'll be cutting an outlet going that way and a light switch going that way. Okay, final coat. I think 3 is going to be enough for our purposes. I'm looking pretty happy with that. It's going to be a lighter coat. So I did a light first coat, a thick second coat. I'm doing a light top coat. And I think that'll do exactly what I want. All right, I'm done with that. All right, so I have this pretty well lined up where I want it. I just have to push it back against the wall. And then I'm just gonna tilt in this top just a touch, something like that. Okay. All right, with that mounted, we need to cut our outlet holes. I need to just confirm my countertop height real quick. I'll make a mark on the wood, and then we'll know where we can play. All right, guys, so the other thing I have today, which I think is going to solve our problem that we had over here, is this. And so I did some Googling around, and I was looking for a combination of keywords. I was looking for narrow outlets, I was looking for shallow outlets, I was looking for old work shallow outlets. And old work outlets are this style where they flap out when you screw in and they butt against an existing wall. So there's no box available, for example. You're just butting against whatever's available. So in the case of these are actually for mobile homes. Apparently these are standard use in mobile homes. They're totally legal and everything. The way they work is pretty interesting. The wire comes in through the bottom, you take the white insulation off, but you don't take the insulation off the individual wires, and you just push them in, and these little blades cut them, and then they seat in that notch right there. Where's the notch? See the notch at the tip of my finger? They seat in that notch, and that's how they work. So you can do one wire in through the bottom, you can do a wire out through the top, and jump from outlet to outlet just like you can with a normal household style. So that's how that works, and then this cover snaps on the back and keeps everything tight. What I like about these is they have this old look style flap, so you fold those down, you have your hole, you put this in the hole, and then when you turn the screws, the flap stands up and pulls tight, and then you have this distance closing, and whatever your wall is pinched in there, and that's what holds the outlet in place. So this might work for us in this weird area. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with that sizing. I think we can squeeze it in. So we don't have a lot of room behind here like we had mentioned. But I think there's gonna be enough. Like, maybe it's so tight, guys, but I think it's gonna work. Here goes nothing. Luckily, it looks like the air hose reaches over from Dad's shop, so that's awesome. Let's see if this little thing can do it. This is old and junky. We'll give it a shot. Working. Still not hitting. There we go. How hot is it? Not very. Yeah, geez, we are right on the edge. Let me see if I can get you guys in there. I need my light to turn on. Hold on. Okay, this is a little tricky. I'm trying to hold my work light and the camera. That's a good angle. So you see just how close we came to that outside curve. We missed it, but we're right there. Now we can definitely come further over on this side. We got a little curvy there in our cut, but let's just tip the outlet into place and see if it fits. All right, safety goggles on. Let's give it a shot. Perfect. Check it out, guys, it's in. I'm really happy I found those. That's gonna be an awesome solution for us. What's it gonna look like? Perfect. Check out that line right there. That's awesome. Super happy with that. Good stuff. 3 more to cut. I'm gonna let Dad have his air. He's doing a project over there. So I'll move on back to our wooden wall. Easy there. Let's see how we did. I think that looks pretty awesome. Right where it's supposed to be. I have this one, which is all geared up to accept the outlets. So let's just put an outlet in it real quick. See what our depth is going to be like. Yeah, so kind of like I expected. It's actually a strange conundrum to have with this style of box, because without the spacer, the only way to get that forward is to cut the plywood down more for the little ears to slide in. And I don't really like that plan. I think that's because these are intended to be used with sheetrock, not plywood. Or you would just sheetrock after they're already in place. So let me think on that. Maybe I just need to get an old look double box. I'm sure they exist, just I haven't been able to find them yet. I mean an old work double box, not an old look, that's the bus. Okay, like a lot of things, I forgot to account for the depth of the plywood, and it means that a traditional old work box should work for me. And the reason I didn't think it was going to work before was because with the 2x3 construction, I thought it was going to be too shallow. But adding the 1/2-inch plywood, if I get my tape out, the old look boxes are 2.75 deep. We're at 3 inches to the front. So theoretically, that should fit. The other good news about that situation is it's a lot less expensive than buying this and this to create a box. And I'm just for safety not using these because they are intended for low voltage. They don't have anything behind them to insulate the wires on this style of outlet. You don't need anything behind this style because the wire is fully withheld within this. But these are much less expensive. They're normal. So yeah, I'm gonna go get some old work boxes and we'll finish doing up this one. I'm glad I can return these. It'll save me some money. And, you know, glad we caught it. Okay, so we're back and we have old look outlet. We have old work outlet boxes which slide right in. And if we cruise around the other side, you can see we have just enough clearance. So that's gonna work for us. So we need to cut, there's one double there. We need to do another double over here, a little higher up. Bree decided she doesn't want the central light switch, so we're gonna do it traditional out on the edge. Bree's here, or at least dropping me off. And you just heard Tucker, who's a spaz. Tucker, where are ya? Where are ya? Oh, there he is. Oh, yes. Good boy. Oh, that's a good boy. So anyway, we'll keep chugging along with this now that we have the right stuff. It did save us a bunch of money too versus the other solution I had going on. So we're going to get the rest of them in and catch up with you guys in a little bit. On we go. All right, progress report. So these two boxes are in, and let me lay out the circuit for you. So we have a double outlet here with our feed from our electrical panel, and then this one is a jump over to the bathroom outlet. So we'll swing back into the bathroom to make that make sense. So here is our feed from the kitchen that I just showed you, our jump to the bathroom outlet. That's this one, which now becomes a feed. We're feeding a outlet here, which then jumps over and feeds both the bathroom light above my head, so that's the switch for that. And that jumps out to the other side again, which then feeds the 2 lights on the opposite box, which are right here. So we have the feed from the bathroom that I was just talking about, and then we have this one going to the mid-floor lights, and we have this one going to the sink light. That's plenty for that one feed circuit. It's got 3 outlets on it and 3 different lights. That's more than enough. So that's that circuit done. Coming across next, we have both our front outlet and front light feed. And then down here we have our unique feed for the refrigerator. For that, I'm going to use this style of box. I'm going to do something like that. So I'm not going to focus on that right now. So the next electrical thing we're going to do is going to be on this wall here, which isn't installed yet. So I need to install my pantry wall, and that will allow me to put the outlet into that wall, which is fed by those circuits. On the opposite side, we need to install outlets on this wall, which isn't installed yet. So the next thing really is to install more walls. After those walls are in, we'll continue along with our outlets. I need to get a new cutoff wheel so I can finish these ones. And yeah, before you know it, we'll have some more installed and we'll show you guys that. All right, continuing progress on the bus. I'm trying something different on these front windows. So I used my roll-lock little air gun, like my little 2-inch, and 30 grit sandpaper and or Scotch-Brite pads to clean this up. And then I used self-etching primer because I like the surface it creates. It's a little less shiny than the rusty metal primer. So I feel like it's gonna hold paint better as long as it holds itself to the metal. And I went, full bore in here. We did all the pieces, and I did wipe and prep all these and sand them with the primer. So once this primer is fully dry, I'm gonna go back and see, just with my fingernail test, if it's sticking well. And if it's sticking well to these surfaces, we'll put our top coat of white on there. I just like the way it works better than the rusty metal primer. So there was still rust, it still had rust underneath, just like this one did before we did it with the rusty metal primer. But I have a feeling we're gonna get a good result regardless. I've used this Rust-Oleum self-etching primer before. It's kind of a nice all-purpose primer, even though that's not what they bill it as. I found that it works pretty great. So anyway, it also dries much faster than the rusty metal primer. We'll see what this looks like in brighter light, and we'll also get it top coated when it's dry, and as long as I'm happy with its adhesion. Okay, it's been about 35 minutes. Am I happy? Go to the scratch test. So we got scratches, but is the paint coming off? No, I think it's just a little not dry yet. So give it a little bit more time before we top coat. How did it do down here? So you can see the kind of etching action that's going on here. I'm concerned that it's going to lift some of the old paint. It doesn't look like it did. It still seems like it's attached correctly. But yeah, so here's an example. When you get really close, you can see there's old paint that I wasn't going to take the time to completely remove. And I'm going to say that is not lifting, and it's good enough. So we'll get a top coat on this momentarily. I'm going to give it 5 or 10 more minutes before I top coat it. I think overall, I'm fine with that. And we should have a decent result. There's a piece of moss. It's called Mossy Bus for more than one reason. Now, remember, this surface has not been prepped or anything, this outer surface. We're only doing inside the jams, getting ready to put the rubbers back in. This will all be redone with the sandblasting like we discussed. But, okay, excellent. Almost ready for a top coat. All right, so we're back at the bus to finish some painting, and what we know is the self-etching primer works just as good as the rusty metal primer. It is still made by Rust-Oleum, so it does say on the back you can use it on rusty surfaces. So we had a good outcome here. We're fully dry, we're smooth. You know, a lot of you might notice some tool marks up here from grinding off the old paint and stuff. I'm okay with that. You know, you can't see it unless you get really, really close, and I'm not trying to make this a show bus, just a nice home. I ask all of you to look at the last time you looked really closely at the drywall in your house. It's probably not as nice as you think it is. So I'm not worried about that sort of stuff. It looks good to me. Bree's happy with it. I'm happy with it. Excellent. So we're going to move forward. If I ever wanted to repaint it again, I could sand it a little more carefully. But really, we're on a deadline here for time, and I am not going to go through and make this crystal clean before we finish our painting. So goals today is to move and do the rest of these windows. That's a lot to accomplish. They all need to be sanded before they're painted, but I think it's doable. We have a full day, so let's get it done all the way back here included. I mean, there is a lot of prep that goes into this. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not bringing it down to show quality finish. The original primer is this black layer. There's a blue on top of that, and there's a white below the blue, like a cream white. So again, we're not gonna be too picky about this, but we do need to get some paint on it. I think I'm gonna try and throw a bag over my inverter just to keep you know, a lot of dust and overspray off of it. But if we get all these windows done today, at least the painting process, we can then move on to finishing our electrical. Big update, we ended up buying kitchen cabinets. Now, I was adamantly against this since the beginning, but in the moment, it ended up making more sense for a couple of reasons. Material prices have gone through the roof. So building the cabinets was over $1,000 in plywood alone, probably closer to $1,200 in plywood alone. I've already bought $1,500 worth of plywood. There's not going to be enough out there to build the cabinets. I need to build the couch. I need to build this TV table. I need to build the bed. I need to build this surround for the washer machine, and I need to build the rear closet. So to avoid buying more thousands of dollars of plywood, plus drawer slides, which have gone through the roof, plus hardware, plus hinges, plus paint, again, gone through the roof, we went to the same supplier we used in our last house to get cabinets, and they've gone up 6 cabinet bases, many thousands of dollars, a few thousands of dollars. However, they're beautiful. They're all hardwood. They're well made. They're pre-painted, soft close, blah, blah, blah. They're gorgeous. And, you know, this is our permanent home. So we should spend the money on it and make it exactly what we want. They're the correct blue. The finish is really nice. I don't have to worry about painting it myself. I'm pretty okay with it. I wrestled with it at first. There's a lot of money to spend in one swing, but it's going to be great. I'll put a picture up of the design. It's very, very simple, but it kind of gives you guys a better idea of what the kitchen's going to look like. They're expected in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I also have made the decision, we bought foam ourselves. We couldn't find a spray foamer that would come down, or the local guys had minimum square footages and they were kind of nervous about how thin this is and cast off, and I wasn't feeling it. Spray foam has gone through the roof. If anybody out there is doing DIY kits, you know this, but we bought spray foam, again, thousands of dollars, that I'll be doing myself. We went with Foam It Green just because they had good availability and a good shipping price. Foam It Green, Tiger Foam, I'm sure a lot of these foam products are all about the same. It was unobtainium to get Froth Pack or DAP from Lowe's or Home Depot, so we had to go with the online suppliers, which is fine with me. So that's coming very, very soon. We could theoretically foam now. The wires are in place. I do want to run a few 12-volt wires, but that should only take me maybe an hour or so. So let me lay it out again because I'm rambling. Next steps, paint the windows, run the 12-volt wires, finish wiring up the 120-volt outlets, foam the bus, reinstall the windows, and then build the additional furniture and finalize the walls, install the cabinets, install the countertops, and install the floors. And then the bus is technically done. The only thing I left out maybe was plumbing. Now, we have this raised panel here around the wheel wells. And these things are hollow, and there's some framing in there. But my brain at this point is thinking best option may be to standardize this depth right across the aisle and have a step up into the bedroom. Then I can just run my plumbing right across, and we're doing surface mount plumbing through the bathroom here, right on that wall, and to the sink there, and through to the sink here. And the diverter is going to go here, and the shower head will go here, so plumbing doesn't have to cross the shower floor. That makes way more sense. I know I'm talking fast today, but I'm feeling good about the bus. We've answered a lot of questions by buying those cabinets, and timeline questions, budget questions. So kind of less beat down than I was maybe before. Long story short, we're getting there. We're making good progress. I'm trying to shift the videos into more compilation style of clips over multiple days. I'm thinking that most of you probably just aren't loving seeing the longer format of how we're working on this bus, and that's fine. It's actually easier for me to film on time-lapse and then compile stuff later. So that's why we're going to hopefully have shorter videos with more things happening, basically. Long story short. So today, like I said, I'm painting. I'm really not going to film that. It's pretty boring to watch. So the next clip you see is hopefully with painted windows. So on we go to that. All right, so here's my update. Look at all that white. Pretty nice. So that's the passenger side ahead of the bathroom painted. And this is what it looked like before. So I'd say that's a pretty good result. All right, we're sanding along, and it's finally time to say bye-bye to Jim and Caren. So, Jim and Caren, wherever you are, if you ever rode in an old look bus, G572 was the number in New Jersey, and possibly later than that if you rode in it in Western Massachusetts as a charter. I hope you lived or are still living a long and happy life together. We'll remember you. So I need to go let the dogs out, but I think I'm going to set a challenge just because it'd be funny. And maybe it'll work out. Maybe nothing will happen. But I'm going to put the internet to work and say, hashtag find Jim and Caren. And I think that would be a funny project. So, hashtag find Jim and Caren. I'll put it as the title of this video. And maybe Jim and Caren will come out of the woodwork and tell us about their little romance in the back of the old Mossy Bus. Let's find out. Hashtag find Jim and Caren. Everybody, we just finished. The paint, overspray, and dust should have had a chance to settle. So I'm going to take you in the bus, and you can see all the fancy white paint. Here we go. So as we walk in, oh yes. Look at all that white paint. And you can see, there's a fairly large piece of tin that's been painted. There's another piece up there. All these pieces are the only thing that's not done. And that's because it's mostly going to have to be hand sanded and prepped. I didn't feel like doing that yet. And secondly, this is the worst rust in the whole bus. And it's bad enough in some spots, like there, that I want to build it up with fiberglass filler before we reinstall windows. The separation and the rust is significant, so I can't just buff and paint that. So next steps is I need to repair the windows that are broken. I'll drop off a couple of pieces to Frank after I take them apart. That's these ones right here. There's 3. And then the rest just need to be cleaned, and the gaskets need to be ordered so we can reinstall. Cleaning these is going to be quite a process. I'm hoping I can get the family to help out, and we'll all just stand on 3 different tables and start buffing and cleaning. This is all aluminum. Maybe I'll hit them with the pressure washer first. I'm not sure. I think that's enough footage for this video. I'm not sure. We'll edit it up, get it posted out so you guys can see it, and we'll keep chugging along on Mossy Bus. So like always, thanks for watching Highlandshire. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.